Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Viktoriya Cole and you're watching another fabulous DIY that was inspired by this picture. This is a part one as I am going to recreate the top shelf as well, but this is what mine turned out to look like. I wanted to make it a little bit bigger and more mid-century. So let's just get started. I'm not going to do measurements on this video. You can look those up down below in my description box, but I'm using pine as the wood, which can be a little difficult to work with because it can bend a lot easier than other woods, but this is kind of my practice wood as I'm still learning a lot of different techniques, including this one that I saw a person do with a console where they taped it off and then drilled in those areas, which helped to create better holes, because when you drill on this kind of wood, a lot of times it doesn't make perfect incisions, I guess you can call them, for the nail holes. But this was a great way for me to create more of a seamless look by just taping those areas off, knowing exactly where I'm creating those holes so that I can attach all of the pieces together, and then using the appropriate size dowels with some wood glue, letting them dry, and then basically sawing them off and then sanding them down. It creates a really nice seamless piece, hides all the nail slots, and just kind of looks as if it's part of the design. As you can see, I saw those off, and then I am going to sand this whole piece down and start staining it. So basically my piece has one open shelving where the chair pulls in, kind of where the table will be as kind of like for an office space. And then two slots for where my two doors will go in to create space for my kids' toy storage or activity storage for our living room. I used Varathane, poly, and stain, and I picked a deeper walnut color because that's kind of the color of our flooring, so I wanted to kind of match the theme of our house or the furniture, as well as some elements in our house. So I layered about 3 layers of stain, and while that was drying, I turned my attention to the doors, basically using the right size pine pieces, as well as kind of cut them in a 45-degree angle on one side, and that created a handle which is kind of hidden. I've seen it on several mid-century pieces and thought that would be a really cool way to do it. Also saw this design concept and thought that it would be really fun to recreate on these doors using these trimming pieces. So I basically measured out how many needs to go on each door to create equal space in between, and then I cut them equally, which I taped them together actually, and just used my electric saw, which Ryan bought me not too long ago, made sure that they were equal. And then meanwhile, my stain has dried, and then I taped off those areas because on the inside I painted it with a nice white color to give it nice contrast. But as you can see, that stain turned out really, really good. And then I'm just going to prop those doors against the floating console just so you could see what it looks like in the raw. But I basically used the color Ivy. It's kind of like a forest green color, which I've added recently to our house, and painted it onto these doors to give it a nice pop of color. As you guys know, mid-century, I love mid-century because it just mixes a lot of different textures. It's kind of more structural, but also just gives it a really cool vibes whenever you add like a stain with a solid color. So I basically use my handheld sander to create slots for my hinges, and I bought some black hinges at Home Depot. As you can see, I propped those doors just to make sure that they are the right width and length, and then created those slots for my hinges. At first I used a chisel and I kind of messed up one of the doors, so I had to fix it, but that was a more simpler way to create these slots for the hinges. And then as you can see, the doors are done. I was gonna just do some touch up once it was hung on to my wall. And the way I did that was basically using a French connection, which if you look that up, is basically a plank sliced in half at a 45-degree angle, and one gets attached to the wall into the studs, and the second one gets attached to the piece that you're hanging, and then you basically just lift the piece up and hang it onto the wall. It turned out a little heavier than I thought that was going to be, but you know, it turned out pretty good for my first console. And then as you can see, I basically put these hutch handles on the inside. They are kind of magnetic, so they right away close the door as soon as you bring them closer. But this is what it looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I sure did, and I'm glad that I have this piece to store my kids' stuff, as well as have the space to do some homeschooling. But as always, you guys, create culture and be you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time in my next video. Bye.